The one-day Netflix series makes some noteworthy deviations from the novel of the same name, with some of the changes being for worse, but most being neutral or an active improvement on the story. The sincere romance drama lives up to its name by focusing on the same single day, July 15th, over the course of 20 years, following the lovebirds Dexter and Emma. While the adaptation is fairly accurate to the source material, some key changes are made to the narrative right up until the point of one day's heartbreaking ending. The story of the Netflix miniseries is rendered so lovingly that many viewers have speculated on One Day being based on a true story, suggestive of the reverence and respect the showrunners had for the source material. The book was already adapted once only 2 years after its release, with 2011's One Day, starring Anne Hathaway. Though the movie was more accurate to the original novel, Netflix's slight variation on the story achieves much greater heights, presenting a more compelling love story compared to the critically panned film. The Netflix series moves every day 1 year forward. The book's chronology is slightly tweaked. Both the one-day Netflix series and the original book chronicle Dexter and Emma's lives over the course of 20 years, each episode and chapter roughly getting assigned July 15th of a given year. While the show makes an admirable attempt to keep things period appropriate, beginning at the same time in 1988, it jumps ahead when it comes to Dexter's rise to TV stardom and Emma moving in with Tilly. In the novel, these events occur 1 year later, in 1991 rather than 1990, skipping some relatively uneventful scenes from the book that weren't necessary to include in the show. 9. Emma's novels are modified to fit her casting. Julie Criscall wouldn't make sense for Ambika Maud. Emma sitting outside at a table in a busy area in One Day. Despite being relatively new to acting, Ambika Maud's performance as Em grounds the cast of One Day with a powerful anchor to revolve around. Retooling Emma's character to be biracial to support this great casting didn't have much of an effect on the story, save for the protagonist of Emma's novels. In the book, Emma writes about a woman named Julie Criscall who travels the world, clearly a stand-in for herself. In the series, this self-insert is renamed Nisha Halliday, reflecting Ambika Maud's own heritage. 8. The opening day is different. One day at a time, the Netflix series made slight tweaks. Emma and Dexter lie together in bed in one day. Dex and Em's fateful first date in Arthur's Seat is kept relatively similar in the Netflix series, as the two eschew a brief physical spark in favor of a heartfelt conversation about their present and future lives. While the show presents this meeting right away, the book instead opens with Emma and Dexter lying in bed together, chatting with already a clearly established history. Spoiling the reveal of Emma and Dexter's first meeting early on may have been a gamble, but it did lay a solid foundation for their chemistry while keeping the challenging timeline from being any more confusing. 7. Emma's meeting with her publisher isn't shown. The book delves further into Emma's developing career. Emma stands on the stairs in One Day. The One Day show skips over an embarrassing scene in which Emma meets with a publisher in 1997, who mistakenly believed she was applying to be a simple nanny. Instead, Emma's transition into a successful writer is smoother and more sudden, details like publisher meetings being handled off-screen. Meanwhile, Dexter's firing from his lofty position as a TV personality is similarly shortened, being melded into a simple phone call from his agent. This change helps to streamline the story and show the diverging success of Dex and Em's respective career paths more prominently, a smart choice by One Day's editors. 6. The One Day series upgrades Tilly's husband. Graham is a clear upgrade over Malcolm. Graham in Netflix's One Day. In both the book and the show, Emma's friend Tilly winds up getting married, but the name and personality of her betrothed got a little bit of a rework for the adaptation. In the book, Tilly marries Malcolm, an entirely forgettable character who blends far into the background. While the focus is obviously on Emma and Dexter, Tilly's own love life is instead retooled in the show, marrying a different man named Graham who gets to steal a few scenes later on as a hilarious supporting character.